A snowy evening in the city, the kind that freezes your breath before you even realize you're out of air. A sidewalk so quiet you'd hear a dropped glove, and then suddenly a scream cuts through. Eyes glued to their phones, pretending the world was just fine. But I couldn't do that. Not that night. See, I'm Tyler. Yeah, just another single dad. Nothing heroic about me. Unless you count making boxed macaroni at midnight for a kid who claims she hates it, but eats every bite anyway. Life's been uphill since my wife passed. 2 years of just putting one foot in front of the other for my daughter Ava. She's 12 and too good for this world, if you ask me. So, when I stepped off that late bus, all I could think about was getting home, making sure she was tucked in, maybe stealing a bite of that cold mac she left for me. But fate, man, fate loves a curveball. As I rounded the corner past the abandoned laundromat, that's when I heard the scream. Not a movie scream. You know, not theatrical. Real, raw, scared. My eyes snapped to an alley where a man twice my size was dragging a girl. Couldn't have been more than 16, his hand clamped over her mouth, her shoes skidding on snow. You know what I mean when I say I didn't think. No, should I get involved? No, maybe someone else will help. I just ran. Like some part of me wasn't mine anymore. Before that guy could process. My fist met his jaw, and the sound. God, I still hear it, echoed off brick and ice. He hit the ground, and the girl crumpled too, scrambling away, crying so hard it hurt to hear. What the hell? He tried to spit out, hand diving for his coat. Instinct, years of learning how to fight for what you love, took over. I tackled him again, knees digging into his chest, yelling something I don't even remember. The world spun, sirens flashing blue in the snow, neighbors peering from windows like ghosts. Cops pulled us apart. The girl, Emily, I'd learn later, was shaking so hard she nearly vanished into herself. She clung to an officer, sobbing out her story. He'd promised her a ride, locked the doors, drove the wrong way. Wouldn't let her out. The officer looked at me, face set like stone, and said, "You did the right thing." Still, I stood there, heart pounding, hands shaking, wondering what would have happened if I hadn't been there, or if I'd looked away like everyone else. Emily was a runaway, bouncing between shelters, no family picking up the phone. She kept glancing at me from under her hair, eyes dark and tired. "People don't stop," she said later at the police station, voice small like she was apologizing for existing. "But you did." I told her I had a daughter. If she was in trouble, I'd want someone to help her too. Didn't seem like much to say, but she nodded, like maybe that made sense. I went home. Ava snuggled on the couch, sleep heavy in her eyes. "You're late, Daddy," she mumbled, and I tucked her in, telling her nothing about the alley or the punch or the way my hands still trembled. But that night, sleep wouldn't come. The world felt colder somehow, and I kept thinking about Emily, where she'd end up if she'd be okay. 3 days later, I called the officer, couldn't help myself. "She's in a shelter, but she's not talking to anyone, won't eat," he said. "Except when she mentions you. She trusts you." That hit me harder than any punch I'd thrown. Me, a guy with barely enough to make rent, a kid to raise, a heart still piecing itself together. Could I help her? Should I? I did. Applied to be her temporary guardian, knowing the world might talk. That some folks would never understand a single dad taking in a teenage girl. But right is right, you know? When Emily walked through our door, she looked like she'd bolt at any loud noise. Backpack clutched to her chest, eyes darting to every shadow. Ava just grinned and offered her the top bunk. "We always share," she said. Emily blinked, like kindness was a trick, but after a while, she started to thaw. We got used to her laughter at the dinner table, her quiet voice reading to Ava, the way she'd sneak into the kitchen to help with pancakes, even if she burned every single one. One night, I found her flipping a blackened pancake and laughing. "Guess I'll fit right in here, huh?" I said. "Trust me, I burn more than I cook." She smiled, and for the first time, It looked real. "Thanks for not walking past me," she whispered. "Thanks for trusting me," I said back. Some folks weren't so generous. I caught neighbors staring, heard whispers, "Single guy, runaway girl. What's really going on?" But I stood tall. My conscience was clear. This wasn't about appearances. It was about doing right by a kid who'd never known safe. The night everything changed was at the school's parent-student night. Emily, nervous, about to back out, but Ava tugged her sleeve. "Come on, we'll go together." Emily presented her art project, a snowy street, a van, a scared girl, and a man who didn't walk away. Her voice shook. "Sometimes, the people you expect to save you don't, and the ones you don't expect become your heroes." I tried not to cry, but, well, I failed. Afterward, she hugged me in front of everyone, whispering, "You gave me a home." I squeezed her back. "You gave me a reason to keep going." Months rolled by. Emily officially became family, not just in paperwork, but in every birthday candle, every ruined pancake, every time Ava called her sis, and I, without thinking, called her kiddo. Emily even picked up a job tutoring art at Ava's school, smiling more, eyes brighter, voice stronger. One night, Ava piped up at dinner. "Emily, what would have happened if Daddy hadn't punched that guy?" The table went silent. Emily looked at her, then at me, and said, "I don't know. But my life really started after that punch." I smiled, feeling something settle in my chest. It's not just about throwing a punch. It's about choosing to care every day. Later that night, I was washing dishes when Emily lingered behind me, plate in hand. "Dad," she said, voice trembling. I froze. First time she'd ever called me that. She blinked back tears, saying she never thought she'd use that word. Not for someone who actually stayed, someone who fought for her. I dropped the dish towel and hugged her tight. No words needed. Ava showed up, bunny in hand. "Family hug," she cheered, and the three of us held each other, the whole kitchen aglow with a warmth that made the snow outside melt away, at least for us. That night, under that roof, blood didn't matter. All that mattered was courage and kindness, and the choice to never walk by someone in need. Now, if this story made you feel even a flicker of hope, don't just scroll away. Share your thoughts. What would you have done? Is justice always so simple? Let's talk about what it means to stand up, to care, to change someone's story just by refusing to be silent. Because sometimes, one small act is enough to start a new life. Not just for them, but for you, too.